lead block. Touchdown for the Sooners.
A legacy forged by generations of heroes in battles of unmatched weight. A rich history today gains a new chapter as a decade of dormancy ends and epic rivalry reawakens. Today, as the Big Reds rumble, it's the Boilers and Buckeyes in a war for the Roses, and the visitors are promising to drill Drew. At the old cocktail party, the Gators' new pitch and catch combo is underage, but ready to stir things up. The unbeaten Hokies and Tigers are on alert for the dreaded look ahead. Winkies on the warpath. The Ducks are in the desert, and College Game Day is ringside as the Sooners and Cornhuskers count down to kickoff.
College Game Day is presented by Discover Card, proud sponsor of college football's premier pregame show.
This is Oklahoma's version of Pamplona, the running of the students this morning to get those choice ringside seats for this showdown between Nebraska and Oklahoma. Miami is the destination of choice. This seems like the old days, the battle of the Big Reds for the Orange Bowl. Okiem inside Owen Field. A day of tremendous anticipation. Chris Fowler, Lee Corso, Kirk Herbstreit, all thrilled to be a part of our first Nebraska-Oklahoma game. I thought Frank Solich put it very well. He said he feels blessed to coach in a game like this because it tests everything you know. The last meeting was not much of a test for Nebraska. It was Oklahoma's worst loss ever, 69-7. Today's revival of this rivalry is much more than a warm journey back to the golden days. It is one of the season's most significant games, 1 versus 2 in the BCS. Like the old days, well, not quite. It's October, not late November. This might be the first of 2 big games between these teams. The Sooners, they want to show how far they've come back. Bob Stoops says they've already proven plenty. He is very confident. So is Nebraska. They've been waiting at the top of the polls all season for a worthy challenger. They've got one now. Native Nebraskan Eric Crouch has a very good perspective on all this.
You're thinking about the matchup. You're thinking about, oh, my God, what if we lose this game? What's the BCS going to put us at? Where's the AP? You know, all the polls. And then you get into a predicament in your own mind, and then that's when you don't play as well. You know, that's kind of how I feel. And, you know, I've been a freshman. I've played in big games. I've thought about those things before. I've let those things run through my mind all week long. You know, I was dehydrated before the game even started.
Now, big game edge definitely has to go to Nebraska that had more experience. Oklahoma an underdog for the 3rd straight game. Remember, though, they haven't lost here under Bob Stoops, 9-0. The last time they played here, September 30th. They were a nice, promising 4-0 team. They've come a long way, Shelley Smith, in a very short amount of time. It has been remarkable, but today's going to test just how remarkable, I think.
You're right, Chris. They have come a long way. When Bob Stoops took over this program 2 years ago, he found a team divided. Offense and defense were bickering. The team was out of shape. And basically, this Oklahoma program had hit rock bottom.
I think it was a group that wanted the leadership, wanted a plan. We came in with that approach that we want to win right now for you because you're our guys.
The first thing he mentioned was, I want to win a South Championship, then we go to Big 12 Championship, and then National Championship. And that's one of the first things, 3 things he said. And that got my eyes real big and got my heart pumping. Because after that, I run through a brick wall for them, man.
Just knowing that someone came in here and you know, said, hey, you know, it's not going to have to take 3 or 4 years. We can win with the players we have now. You know, that built a lot of confidence in our team.
And then the Sooners signed Josh Heupel and introduced Air Oklahoma.
A lot of people in Norman who didn't understand passing football.
That's the truth.
This was the kind of offense that Bob wanted. So when we came in, we just bought into it and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to sell the kids on it, and we're going to make it work.
And it has.
The key to it all, of course, is Heupel and the fact that he's such a great throwing quarterback, and he finds ways to get the ball to his receivers.
Coach Stoops did a great job of selling his vision of the team here. It's an exciting time to be part of the Oklahoma tradition. It's a new time in our new tradition, but again, it's exciting.
What's more even more impressive about Josh Heupel is that he is throwing to a host of receivers who didn't come here to play receiver. Why would they until Stoops came in here? But Steve Spurrier Jr. came in as well, and he rated the other positions to find 5 guys who could catch the ball, and they're now ranked as one of the best units in the country. Chris?
Well, Shelley, you're right. They're rebuilding the talent here. But if you want to know why the 3 coaches who followed Switzer went 1-8 against Nebraska, check it out right there. All-Americans in the 90s, Oklahoma 1, Nebraska 18, first-round picks 2, picks in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft, only 7. They haven't had a serious Heisman candidate since Billy Sims in 1979 when he was a runner-up the year after he won it. And I talked to an NFL scout out here yesterday, Lee. He says they're looking at 2 Oklahoma seniors, but a dozen Nebraska seniors.
Well, Chris, no wonder Nebraska expects to win this ball game, but I'm going to give you another reason why they expect to win. They've beaten Oklahoma 7 straight times by an average of over 28 points a game. Now, Oklahoma's an underdog again today. I think they got to come out smoking on offense, defense, and special teams, and they got to jump on Nebraska early like they did Texas 34-0, Kansas State 24-7. They got to get on them, keep the crowd in the ball game. One important point here, Kirk. Remember, Oklahoma is the team that has given Nebraska the only loss of the season 5 times in this series. I don't think Oklahoma is going to be intimidated by Nebraska.
No, they will not be intimidated. You know, the OU program and its fans have waited for a game of this magnitude for many years here in Norman, and you can feel the electricity in the air. It'll be a big advantage for the Sooners throughout the game as far as momentum is concerned. However, the guests to the party today, the Nebraska Cornhuskers, are beginning to peak. Don't think they're going to be intimidated by coming into Norman. The first 5 games, they basically went through the motions. The last 2 ball games, Nebraska's starting to play with more hunger, more desire, but they need to prove they can win on the road under Frank Solich. They're 1-3 against ranked opponents. They'll be excited to come in here and prove that they can win on the road.
Obviously, the struggle at Notre Dame, the struggle at Iowa State this season, very conservative game plans. Want to see something more adventurous.
They will.
Turner, Gill, and Solich said we might do it. Later on in this game, we're going to hear from Barry Switzer on Tom Osborne. This is a 1 versus 2 according to the BCS Championship Series. Nebraska a near #1 in both polls. Oklahoma is #1 when you talk about the computers and the composite of the 8 power ratings that comprise the BCS formula. As we check the numbers out of first place, you can see that Virginia Tech can feel pretty secure as long as their record this year matches the record last year, 11-0 on bowl selection day. Some folks below Virginia Tech will root for Miami to win that showdown next weekend. Now, Clemson down there behind FSU and Florida, teams that have a loss, they need to win out. They also might need some luck. Clemson has a schedule strength that is rated 97. That's what's keeping the Tigers down there. And also up in Lincoln, from 66 to 88, no rivalry approached this one for impact. Frank Solich grew up watching this football game. He played fullback for Nebraska in 3 of them, assistant coach in 20 more. This is his first as head coach. Bob Stoops grew up in Ohio, but he says he was always an Oklahoma fan. We focus on 3 of the many epics. The last 1 versus 2 game, 87 in Lincoln. The game of the century, Thanksgiving 71 right here, and the game a half century ago that featured the heroics of a Sooner halfback who wasn't even a starter.
He was fast, physical, and on November 25th, 1950, Billy Vessels was unstoppable. The small-town sophomore became an Okie folk hero that day, rushing for a then-school record 208 yards. The top-ranked Sooners rallied to bury Nebraska in an avalanche of Vessels touchdowns, 3 as a runner, 1 as a passer. Only the encouragement of Bud Wilkinson had rescued this future Heisman winner from flunking out as a freshman. It may have been one of the coach's most important pep talks ever.
This is an opportunity for the real Big Red to stand up.
Another Heisman legacy was first forged on the same field 21 years later. This was a Big Red battle of unequaled fanfare.
It was a game unlike any other before and since, I think, 1 versus 2. Both teams were ahead, some 800 yards approximately in total offense, 1 penalty.
The scoreless tie was broken on the broken field heroics of Nebraska's Johnny Rodgers after dodging a tackle by his closest Heisman rival.
My old true buddy himself. Greg Frill was the first man down.
He's to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, to the 20, to the 10. He's all the way home.
Rodgers' return remains the game of the century's signature moment, but it was followed by 8 more touchdowns. The Sooners employed a stunning tactic, the forward pass.
We were such a terrible passing team that nobody ever worried about us passing. We had 4 backs in our backfield, all gained over 1,000 yards rushing during that season.
OU completed just 31 passes the entire 71 season. The 2 biggest featured All-American Jack Mildren to John Harrison.
It's a touchdown, Oklahoma leads.
With the Sooners ahead by 3 in the 4th quarter, the Huskers put their faith in the men up front, and they plowed forward. Needing 74 yards for victory, Nebraska got 50 of them from Jeff Kinney, including the final 2. All the trash talk before 87's showdown of 1 versus 2 came from the Huskers, who smelled blood with wishbone wizard Jamel Holloway and fullback Lydell Carr joining a gimpy Barry Switzer on the sidelines. But it was Oklahoma's overlooked defense that suffocated the Huskers all day. Ricky Dixon's pick set up an OU offense that had been self-destructing for the tying touchdown. The loss was one of Tom Osborne's most bitter, a 4th straight to Switzer, who in the post-game glee had forgotten the pain of his torn-up knee and a looming NCAA investigation.
We were setting a heck of a trap because of the way we've been playing the last couple of weeks, and we like coming in number 2 and the underdog, and we just seem to play a little better.
That was an emotional day for Barry Switzer, very satisfying one, and he joins us now. In the year after that game, you were forced out of here, and Oklahoma has not been close to a national title this late in the season since. So these Sooner players, a game this big is new for them. What would you tell Bob Stoops and these players about the readiness of a Nebraska-type game?
Well, first of all, they'll be ready to play because both of them bring out the best in each other. You don't have to worry about teams getting ready to play this game today. Both are ready. They know what's at stake. They're ready to play, and you'll see a great ball game today. That brings back a lot of memories there. We've fallen out of sight for a decade. Bob Stoops and his staff have done a tremendous coaching job with the talent that was here. A great scheme, super job.
Coach, what's it mean for you to be able to come back to Norman and to be able to see the Sooners up close and be on the sideline? We saw you a couple weeks ago on the sideline at Kansas State. To be around, how important is that to you?
Well, for 13 years I haven't, Kirk, and they embraced us. They brought back a lot of the players that played for me. They wanted to relive the tradition and the heritage of Oklahoma football, and Bob Stoops is a smart guy. He brought us all back in. We've all had a chance to visit with the squad on numerous occasions. Bosworth's here today. He's going to be talking with the linebackers. I've spoke to him on many occasions, Casillas. Even Marcus Dupree, even though he played 1 year with me, he's been back to see these guys.
Barry, you've been retired from coaching now for 3 years, and I see you moving around a little bit closer to the sideline. Any chance you might try to come back like John Robinson and Lou Holtz has done lately?
Well, I tell you what, if I did, the first guy I'm going to hire is Josh Heupel as my quarterback coach. I promise you. I've already talked to Josh about that. But no, I think it's over for me. I'm 63 years old. My bucket's half empty, and all the things involved in college coaching. I admire Lou Holtz. That be able to go out there and do this and stay after it. I don't think I have the what it takes today to go do that.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by. They still love you here. You got your old adversary, Tom Osborne.
Well, I was with him earlier. J.C. Watson, Tom Osborne's a congressman now.
Okay. Tom has some plans for next year, and in between Switzer and Osborne, 43 Nebraska-Oklahoma games. He's with Shelley Smith.
Okay, joining me now, a man who knows a lot about these rivalries, Coach Tom Osborne. What is your biggest memory, I guess good or bad, of this rivalry?
Well, I've got a lot of memories. Going back to the 71 game, of course, I was an assistant. And then I guess maybe the last game that we played down here was cold and it was raining. It was Barry Switzer's last game. And then we pretty well shut down the Wishbone that night. It was a 7-3 game. So a lot of great games and a lot of great memories.
That 71 game, you were an assistant, but you coached Johnny Rogers in that game. And what a tremendous athlete he was. And I know you were such a big part of his development. Looking at Eric Crouch, how does he rank compared to the athletes you've coached?
Well, Eric's right up in there. I think he's as good as we've had. Good passer, great runner, very durable, tremendous speed, about 10.3, 10.400 meters, so he's a great player.
We're asking Barry Switzer this. What would you tell your team today, if you were coaching today, what would you tell them about going into this game?
I just tell them to focus. People think you have to fire people up. You don't have to fire them up today. Maybe have to calm them down and make sure that they really concentrate on technique, on the play that's called, the defense is called, and try to block everything else out. Just keep playing. And it'll be a 4-quarter game, and play physically, because the team that's the most physical will probably end up on top at the end of the game.
You going to be on the sidelines today?
Yeah, I'll be. We're on the Nebraska sideline, and So it'll be, it's kind of strange, but it'll be nice to be back there.
I don't imagine you'll be up, you know, congratulating players and telling them what to do like Barry did against Kansas State.
I'm going to stay back out of the way.
All right. Thank you, Coach Osborne. Back to you guys.
All right, Shelley, thank you. Great to have Coach Osborne on the sideline. That is a first as Stoops and Solich meet for the first time. Plenty more in the Battle of Big Red coming up from Norman. Texas Tech was a couple of weeks ago there. Heupel, not a specimen, but he has great instincts, and his presence on the field makes it much tougher to stop in person than opponents thought when they watched him on film. Both Texas and Kansas State coaches very confident going in to this game. They had a new coordinator, a bunch of new guys on the Oklahoma offense this year. So did Nebraska's defense, and that's had a much bigger impact than anybody figured it would until the last couple of weeks when the baby black shirts have grown up and done some soul searching. Here's Steve Cyphers with that story.
This has been Nebraska's problem this year. Their defense.
Stunning beginning to this one. By Blackshirt standards, September was a horrible month. There it was, the Nebraska defense giving up yards and completions, first downs and points.
I'm used to, you know, going in and playing for the Blackshirts, going in and just destroying an offense. And we weren't doing that.
We finna bang today. Defense finna bang, baby.
We were practicing well, but we just wasn't showing up on Saturdays as a defensive unit.
That was true. I mean, as a coach, you see a guy execute something in practice, and yet you get out there in the middle of the game, and we wouldn't get it done. And that is frustrating.
Especially for Craig Bohl, who in his first year as the Huskers defensive coordinator took over a group with just 4 full-time returning starters.
There was a great deal of pressure on him, some of it self-imposed, and that's where we are as coaches.
We had some pretty bumpy starts along the road, but the last several weeks we've improved.
Are the black shirts truly black shirts now?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Was there a time earlier this season they were gray shirts?
You never go gray. You just gotta, you know, you just gotta iron a few things out.
A wrinkled black shirt,
yeah, wrinkled black shirt, I'll give you that.
Check these wrinkles. In the first 4 games, the Nebraska defense allowed more than 600 yards rushing, and the defense was ranked number 72 in the country in total defense. But in the last 3 games, the Huskers allowed just 61 yards rushing, and the total defense now for the Blackshirts, 15. In other words, before the Iowa State game, the defense was bad.
Touchdown, Missouri!
After the Iowa State game, the Blackshirts were good.
For us to say that we're a dominant defense, I don't know if you could say that. Are we a different defense than we were 3 weeks ago? Certainly.
Oh, the black shirts stack them up this time.
So what did they do differently? Well, what they didn't do was panic.
There was never any time where there was any finger pointing or anything like that.
Never?
Never.
But in the playbook, Bohl's staff did simplify some things and embellish others while making subtle personnel moves in certain situations. And that personnel came to know and trust each other, they say, especially the week of the Texas Tech game when they called a meeting for players only.
When those doors were closed, our coaches felt very good that, you know what, they knew where we needed to go.
No, we just wanted to address some things, get some things straight.
It wasn't no fist fight, look, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Everyone knows what we gotta do.
And they did do it against outmanned Texas Tech and Baylor. But now comes Oklahoma.
To give us a chance to show the world that we are a much improved defense.
Heupel is a cool guy under pressure, and that's one thing that, you know, we're gonna have to try to do is rattle his cage a little bit.
Let's see what the cat drug is.
As long as we winning, they can't take nothing away from us. As long as we come home with the trophy, hey, they'll forget all about those bad games in the beginning of the season. It's not how you start, how you finish.
Well, Husker defensive assistant George Arlington said it's very frightening to look at Oklahoma's tape against Texas. I don't have a big pad and a marker like Steve did, but I'll give you some numbers. Oklahoma in the red zone is astounding. 31 trips in the red zone, 26 touchdowns, 4 field goals, 1 missed field goal. That is amazing. But Nebraska doesn't let you get to the red zone.
No, they don't. Great piece there by Steve. And I think one of the things you look at in Nebraska for the last 2 weeks, they've been getting a little bit more back to the way they used to be, more relentless and aggressive. And they better do it today because they're going to face the best offense they'll see all year. And the only way you can slow down Oklahoma is to pressure Josh Heupel. You have to come from a number of different areas. Keep an eye on defensive end Kyle Vandenbosch, number 83. He is playing much better and seeming to come into his own as one of the leaders of this group. They're also swarming more. Here the pocket kind of collapsing against Texas Tech, and 6 of their last 14 sacks have come in the last 2 weeks. Now, today against the Sooners, I think you're going to see a variety of looks. As I will be shocked if Nebraska doesn't blitz often and keep coming in a number of different ways, because the one way you can slow down Josh Heupel is to try to get him out of rhythm, because if he finds his rhythm, you can't stop him.
But he's tough, and he'll hang in there. The Oklahoma offense is led by quarterback Josh Heupel. They're #1 in the nation when it comes to scoring and #4 passing. And what Josh does the best, which I like, he uses all of his weapons. Everybody with the quick passing game. Now, let's watch him. Number 14, Josh hit #3, Josh Norman, as he moves around. Nice little quick pass. But here's my favorite. He hits number 12, Curtis Fagan, right back to get the ball out of his hands before they can rush him like Kirk wants him to do. But here is an unbelievable stat. This is unbelievable. Oklahoma has thrown for more yards, 5,424, in Josh's 18 games at quarterback than Oklahoma did in all 6 national championship seasons combined. Yo of the week.
They had more completions in some games than Switzer's teams did in an entire season. You mentioned the Oklahoma receivers. That's key. They have to play just as tough as they did up in Manhattan, because they're going to get hit.
Going to have to get off man coverage, too.
Get off man coverage, catch the ball, and take hits. Scan this crowd here, make it tough on Eric Crouch. We'll shift the focus to when Nebraska has the football when we come back to Norman. He's hardly taken a hit the last couple of weeks. When you come into a big game and you feel rested, that is definitely a bonus. Crouch will never have the kind of stats that just wow the Heisman voters, but like Heupel, in his own way, he is deceptively deadly. To stop him, Oklahoma's defense wants to have number 10 and number 20 flying after him, Torrance Marshall and Rocky Kalmus. Marshall, the South Floridian via junior college. Rocky Kalmus, the native Oklahoman, the tough guy who has played through a fractured leg and a broken wrist and a thumb injury this season. They are both classic linebackers, and Shelley Smith corralled the Sooners' 2 defensive leaders.
They're athletic, they're big, they're strong, they're fast, and they're smart, and they work real hard, and they're tough. So that's an awfully good combination.
Torrance Marshall.
Torrance probably has more, raw natural ability, and Rocky more the instinctual part of the linebacker.
Who has the linebacker mentality here?
Both of us, probably.
I hope so.
You have to do a lot of things. You have to hit, and you have to be real physical. You have to do things that most guys on the team probably wouldn't like to do. 2 300-pound guys coming at you, a lot of guys won't want to hit them, but, that's our job, and that's what we like to do, and that's probably why linebacker's crazy.
Is it true?
I don't think I'm crazy.
The position I've grown up and played, and I love it. And if they think I'm crazy doing it, I enjoy it, so I don't think I'm crazy doing it.
What are some of the things that Torrance does better than you?
Better than me? Just about, I think, everything. I mean, we do our different stuff.
He catches interceptions. He caught an interception. In my last interception, I dropped. I might say his hands are a little better than mine.
The guy's got a broken thumb. How can he have better hands than you?
I guess I got better luck than him. I guess you'd say I'm a luckier player.
You got Eric Crouch on the other side. All right, who's going to be watching him? It's linebackers who are going to be responsible for him. I mean, what do you see when you look at film of him? What's it going to be like come game time?
Well, our defense, is pretty much made for linebackers and safeties. On Crouch, you still got a pitch man with the option. So, our safeties have to come up. If they don't come out, that's a 20, 40-yard game. So
stop him before he gets to the pitch.
Yeah, but stop him before he gets to pitch and contain him and slow him up where everybody can rally and stop him.
What does it mean to have such a big game again between these 2 schools?
That's the reason I came here. I wanted to help bring back that game, that tradition, and I'm just fortunate that it came around soon enough before my time was up, and it's great, a privilege and honor to be starting and playing in the biggest game, maybe of the season.
How has your relationship made you guys better on the field, do you think?
It's good to have a guy just as good as you sitting there next to you, not having to worry about, oh goodness, is he going to mess up? But you're confident that he's going to be there and maybe help you out when you have a mistake.
I'm not going to want anything bad to happen to him. I think he has the same things for me. So, it's just great to have somebody, friends on and off the field like Rocky. And I'm just glad to have somebody like that.
14 tackles for loss between them. They have to make plays in the scheme, but the Oklahoma defense has been protecting leads. Opponents getting out of their game plan early. What if Nebraska doesn't? And they are very, very good at maintaining stubbornly their game plan.
Remember, Nebraska's offense consists of 80% of it is around the option series. And number one thing they do, they lead the nation in rushing, and they score 42 or more points 6 of the 7 times they played this year. They got a great quarterback reading the option, and Eric Crouch, number 7. Now watch number 7, Eric Crouch, as he goes down the line of scrimmage. He's going to get hit. A little left-handed pitch to the tailback. Yo, all the way. Number 7, Eric Crouch comes down the line this time, and they make a mistake. Whoop! They let him run the football. Aha! Touchdown. Now, to slow down Nebraska, I think Oklahoma's defense has got to stop the option from the inside out. They've got to do it like Notre Dame did. Stop the fullback, the quarterback, pitch, and run to the ball. And I think if they do that, then they've got a chance of slowing these guys down.
Well, they're going to put a lot of people at the line of scrimmage. Not only the linebackers, but the guy to watch, in my opinion, is their strong safety, a future All-American, and Roy Williams. I think he's one of the best players, not only in the Big 12, but all of the country. He will be up and run support quite often. He loves to come up and make the big hit. He's number 38. Watch this play 2 weeks ago. Off the play action, and that'll be very important today. Reads the play action fake and makes the big interception. Now, I agree with what Lee and Chris are saying. I think the key to this game is Nebraska's ability on offense. Not so much the option, but look for them to go away from some of their tendencies. With the emotion of this crowd, the Oklahoma defense is going to be fired up. Look for play action passes and some trick plays from Nebraska to try to slow down the defense and then go back to old reliable number 7. But look for a little bit of maybe a reverse to Bobby Newcomb or maybe a play action pass.
Use the emotion in the pursuit against him. I agree with you. And then try to stand up in the fourth quarter. Those defensive ends for Oklahoma, they're kind of on the small side. So we'll see if they can stand up to a 4-quarter penalty. There is Rocky Kalmus. We'll come back.